So, UFC 308 is coming up this weekend, and the main event is Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria, and this is a crazy fight card overall, but I have to say that the main event is one of the most anticipated matchups of this year. And Ilia Topuria has insane potential. He's only 27 and is coming off a win against Volkanovski, and Holloway is coming off a crazy knockout win against Justin Gaethje. So in this video, I'm gonna predict and break down this fight, and you guys already know how it go. Let's discuss the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter. So Ilia Topuria's biggest weapon is his boxing. The guy's hands are next level. He has very technical boxing, great timing, and great precision on his punches. And on top of that, he has insane power as well. But besides his offensive skills, he's also very good defensively. He has great shoulder rolls and great head movement. So I don't think it's too crazy to say that he might be the best boxer in the UFC right now, even though his opponent is also the self-proclaimed best boxer in the UFC. But besides his striking, he's also a skilled grappler, which is quite surprising considering how much he uses his striking. But I think he actually started out with wrestling or something like that. And surprisingly, he also had quite a decent amount of submissions on his record. Like not too long ago, he did submit Bryce Mitchell, who's a very legit grappler. And another thing I don't see people talking about is his fight IQ. When he got dropped by Jai Herbert, he switched to a wrestling approach before eventually knocking him out. Against Emmett, he basically just fought behind his jab and made reads on him. And against Volk, he was pretty passive in the first 2 minutes because he was downloading data, and after that, he started turning it up, especially in the second round. But in my opinion, he does have one pretty obvious weakness, and that is the leg kicks. He stands very lead leg heavy, which is a recipe for getting your leg kicked in. However, he is pretty good at blocking body kicks and stuff like that. And this isn't really much of a weakness, but he is quite short, so his reach isn't insane, but his style isn't based on being a rangy guy anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Now, like Topuria, Holloway also has very good boxing. He has very fast hands and is very precise with his punches. However, I know that he just brutally knocked out Justin Gaethje with 1 second left on the clock, but he's definitely more of a volume striker at featherweight. I think the reason for that is because he just has more muscle mass at lightweight. Because at featherweight, he wasn't really putting out guys like that. Speaking about knockouts, Holloway's shin must be made of stone or something, man. Because he did take some really hard shots from Gaethje, no Jones. And I think he only got dropped once or something in that fight, which is pretty good considering Gaethje hits like a truck. But regardless, he has insane output, which obviously requires insane cardio, which he's shown in a lot of fights, but especially in the Kadar fight. But besides his boxing, Holloway also has really nice kicks. Specifically, his spinning back kick, which he used a lot against Gaethje, and the effectiveness of his kicks are also boosted by the fact that he's very tall for the division. Now, he does seem to have somewhat of a problem with fighting shorter opponents, as proven by the Volk fights, and I think that is due to his reach, because Holloway has disproportionately short arms compared to his height. I think him and Topuria actually have the same reach, and basically because Holloway has such a large bone structure compared to other featherweights, it takes longer for him to rotate his whole body into the punches. So when he gets into exchanges with a shorter guy with a shorter reach or similar reach, the shorter guy can whip out punches way faster. But that's just my theory. And he also stands a little lead leg heavy like Topuria, so he is open for leg kicks. Now let's go over the win conditions for each fighter. And in this fight, Topuria is gonna want to close the distance and get into boxing range, where he will have a big advantage over Holloway, because he's more powerful and has better close range boxing. And something I want him to focus on here are the body shots, because Holloway is tall and lanky for the division, so he is going to be extra vulnerable against just body shots. Now he's also going to want to avoid the kicks of Holloway, especially the leg kicks, so the two ranges he's going to want to be at is either just outside their kicking range and in boxing range, where Holloway won't be able to kick him due to them being too close to each other. No Jones again. Now another option is also to mix in the takedowns. As I mentioned earlier, Topuria actually has really good grappling, and I think mixing in the grappling will only do him good in this fight. Now Holloway is basically going to want to do the opposite of what Ilia is going to want to do. He is going to want to keep this fight at kicking range because Topuria basically doesn't throw any kicks and he's extremely vulnerable for the leg kick. And another thing Topuria does is kind of dip down to throw body shots, and that's where I think Holloway could hit him with the same spinning back kick he hit Gaethje in the face with, and that's a finishing shot. Like if Holloway times it correctly, there's a good chance he's putting Topuria out cold. But besides that, Holloway is going to want to take advantage of his cardio, because even though we know Topuria can go 5 5 rounds, Holloway has a very high pace. And if Holloway invests early into the body with body kicks and spinning back kicks to the body, I could definitely see Holloway taking over later in the fight. Now, I think this is going to be a crazy fight and it has the potential to be very competitive, but I will be going with Ilia Topuria here, and I think we have to look back to the last Volk vs Holloway fight. Volk was outboxing Holloway the whole fight, and as I mentioned earlier, I think it's due to Holloway having such short arms for his height. Like, Holloway and Topuria have the same reach even though Holloway is significantly taller, and his larger bone structure doesn't let him shift his weight around and rotate his body as fast as Topuria's smaller bone structure does. And that's gonna cause trouble for Holloway, especially in the boxing exchanges. And we know that Holloway likes to throw hands as well, so I think it's very likely that he is gonna engage in boxing exchanges early into the fight. And I just think that's a bad idea. I think Topuria is the best boxer in the UFC right now. He hits very hard for the division, and this is where people who are picking Holloway will reference back to the Gaethje fight. And Gaethje couldn't knock him out, but he did drop Holloway, and I think Gaethje is very powerful. But the thing with Gaethje is that he just kind of wings his punches out there. He's not as crisp and precise with it. Topuria has faster hands, better timing, precision, combinations, counters, and is very powerful on top of all that. And people also forget that Topuria has very good body shots, and Holloway is quite skinny for the division, so even if he can't chin him, because Holloway has a goated chin, he can still cause major damage to his body. Now, regarding the wrestling, I don't think Topuria is going to rely on his grappling too much in this fight. I think he might fall back to his grappling if he's getting severely outstruck, but I think it's quite unlikely that he is going to mix in takedowns. However, if he does, I can't see it having a bad impact on the fight, considering Topuria is quite an underrated grappler. But all that said, Holloway can still win. I think if he avoids boxing exchanges and invests early into the leg kicks and the kicks to the body, Topuria can start gassing later in the fight, and that's where Holloway could overwhelm him with his volume and take home the later rounds. Alternatively, he could also catch Topuria with a spinning back kick to the face as Topuria dips down his head, but I think it's quite unlikely that Holloway is going to stick to that game plan, considering he likes throwing hands, and I also think the chances of Holloway catching Topuria with a spinning back kick to the face is lower than Topuria finishing him with a body shot or shinning him. So I will be going with Topuria in this fight, and I think he actually gets it done with a body shot. But forget all I said in this video. If Jerome shows up in this fight, it's gonna be over for Topuria. But this is a crazy main event for a really good card, and I'll try to do my best to also pop out a Whitaker vs Chimaev breakdown before Saturday. But I think that's it for today, guys. Check out my last video where I talked about which fighter can beat Alex Pereira. But anyways, thanks for watching, subscribe, leave a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Am I just an Ilia Topuria glazer, or was I spitting facts? And share this to someone who thinks Max Holloway is gonna win, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.